Imagine the crushing blow when the judge says, you know what, DNA doesn't matter.
A Georgia man in prison for life, even though he has evidence that can prove his innocence. A DNA test pointed to another suspect years ago, but Georgia's court says it's not enough.
Channel 2's investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is here with why this man cannot get a new trial despite overwhelming evidence.
Jovita, like most of us, Devonia Inman thought that DNA evidence was a sure thing and he'd at least get a new trial. But Georgia's court system doesn't guarantee that. Even the legal experts working to free him were astounded. When I met him in prison, I asked if he still had hope, and he didn't know how to answer.
I'd be asking God, like, what is the purpose, for the reason of me being here?
Devonia Inman has had nearly 18 years to question his faith and his belief in the justice system.
It's like they're saying, who cares if we're wrong or right? Okay, yeah, he ain't the one who committed the crime, but we're going to keep him in prison anyway.
He'd only lived in Georgia 2 months when a Taco Bell manager was gunned down in an Adel parking lot. Arrested 2 days later, Inman always maintained his innocence.
There's not a shred of physical evidence, forensic evidence, no fingerprints, no blood, no DNA that ever ties him to this crime.
A jury convicted him based on witnesses, his girlfriend's sister, a jailhouse snitch, and a Taco Bell employee, all of whom later said they lied.
Basically, I made it up. Yeah, just to get him out the picture.
Marquetta Thomas changed her story before trial, but it still haunts her.
I'll do anything to help free this man.
The only witness who hasn't recanted is a newspaper carrier that ID'd Inman after watching the victim's car race by.
The guy who was there next to her not only said that it didn't happen, he says that she made it up to get the reward money.
At trial, the judge rejected 3 defense witnesses who would have pointed to someone else, a Taco Bell employee known for violence. 2 of Hercules Brown's friends said he confessed. A co-worker said Brown even asked her to help with the crime.
They were all saying the same thing, but Georgia says if all you have is that, it's not going to get admitted in court.
10 years later, they'd have much more. The Georgia Innocence Project got the GBI to test the inside of this homemade mask found inside the victim's car. The DNA belonged to Hercules Brown.
I thought, we've got it. Devonia's coming home.
But when they petitioned the judge for a new trial, he said no. Then, with no explanation, Georgia's Supreme Court refused to hear the case.
Once you are convicted of a crime, the facts of the case don't really matter that much anymore.
Everything we hear about on the news of DNA should be your get out of jail free card, and the reality is that it's not.
Georgia state law professor Jesse Sino has spent hundreds of hours researching Inman's case and getting to know him.
There is a person behind this story who is sitting in prison, possibly for the rest of his life, and he's innocent. And that's scary.
Nobody wants to accept a mistake, but I have to live with it.
At trial, prosecutors insisted the evidence pointed to Inman. Now they say he and Brown must have worked together, though Inman says the two had never even met until a chance encounter on a jail bus.
He's like, man, I hope you go home.
That's all Devonia Inman wants.
Take care.
With the little faith he has left.
I have faith in Jesse.
We tried to find Hercules Brown. Turns out he's serving life in prison for murdering 2 convenience store workers shortly after this crime. He did not respond to our request for an interview. Now, you can watch what happened when the GBI questioned Brown about the mask on our website at WSBTV.com. We've also posted more about those witnesses who changed their stories.
So, what happens to the man now?
Well, if nothing changes, he's stuck. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. There is a legal team working on what's basically a Hail Mary request for a hearing in federal court, but those are almost never granted.
Incredible.